I like to be scared. I love the feeling of fear, sadness, and joy you can get from watching a movie with not only good scares, but characters and stories. I have to admit, finding a story like this isn't really easy. But when it happens, it can easily become one of my favorites. So, why am I saying this? Well, no real reason. See, this just popped in my head after watching Watership Down. It made me think about why I like horror movies, despite the fact that it's actually pretty hard to find a good one. The funny thing is, this movie isn't a horror movie. Yes, it has moments that can be scary, especially for children, but for the most part, it's a relatively calm thriller, with more time given to the dialogue than any of the more frightening moments. And speaking of the frightening moments, they aren't that many. People honestly over exaggerate it. It isn't just violence for the sake of violence, and each moment works to highlight the dangers the rabbits face within their world and the tragedy of it all. I believe the best example of this is when Big Wig is stuck in a trap. He struggles to breathe and he starts to bleed as his friends try to save him.
The peg's narrower down there. It's tiny pillars, but I can't get my teeth into it. Pipkin, you go in. The splinter's pretty hard to breathe, but the peg's nearly through. Ryder, you go in. I can't feel him breathing. It's broken in two. It's free. Bigwig, the peg's out.
This scene shows the pain, tragedy, and fear of their situation, with Bigwig blacking out as his friends start to pray over his believed dead body. This moment works to highlight a few factors: the intelligence of the bunnies, the dangers of man-made traps, and their grieving methods. Now, to be honest, the most terrifying moments of the movie for me is the more abstract moments that show the feelings of the situation instead of the actual situation. With the more graphic and seemingly more terrifying one being when Holly comes back and tells them the details of what happened to their home after they left. Speaking of those scenes, I should mention the art. The art is really good. It goes for a more realistic approach with the rabbits while having the backgrounds look similar to an old storybook, with the art being more scratchy and not completely colored. To me, it makes it look like the rabbits are essentially running across a storybook, which may have been the reason it was done that way. This style would also be used in Plague Dogs, the other adaptation of a Richard Adams book. But where this movie really does shine is with its story. I know this is a bit late, since I essentially started with the more controversial part of the movie. The story of Watership Down is simple. A group of rabbits flee their doomed home on the behest of Fiver, a young rabbit who has visions, and his older brother, Hazel, who takes the role of the leader. Both in their new home and on the journey, they face many dangers, from humans to other animals to their own kind. The atmosphere and the realistic threats, along with the likable, charming characters, make the film feel very complex and really good. Not to mention the constant touch of their spiritual beliefs, as well as their mythology, which starts off the movie and sets the tone, both letting you understand how they feel about death, as well as why they constantly cheated, with their mythical ancestor essentially being told by the god to cheat death with the abilities given to him. The best thing about this is it isn't just forgotten after it's said. A good chunk of the dialogue is dedicated to it, and the ending is a good love letter to it, essentially showing that it wasn't for nothing, and the story did have a reason for the focus of it. If I had any complaint, it would be the fact that the movie's a bit slow. For me, I like stuff fast paced, and this movie is not that, so I wound up watching it at 2 times speed just so I can get to the point faster. That's not to say the movie is bad, it's just the fact that it was too slow for me. Along with that, I felt that the voices were a bit weird. They were very deep for rabbits. I'm not saying they were wrong, they were wonderfully voice acted. The issue is I guess I've been trained to essentially see small animals as having high-pitched voices. So seeing essentially a small rabbit with the voice of a full-grown British man, it just feels a bit odd for me. But that's just a me thing once again. So, what is my opinion overall? The movie is good, but slightly slow. It's more suited for older people, not younger people who have a lot on their mind and may get distracted easily. It isn't really as frightening as people may make you think, but then again, I didn't see this as a child, so I can never really fully understand that experience. It does have scenes within it that could frighten children. On the other hand, it's not really scary overall. So, with that said, goodbye. The next AMV is coming out tomorrow, and Summerween is over. Bye.